This is the TaylorJones show, and today we're going to be talking about the ever-present, ever-troublesome, ever-bothersome, ever-annoying to most people, or some people, Donald Trump. Yeah, he's at it again, folks. He just cannot seem to stay out of trouble. There's even a motorcycle trying to get away from this irascible guy. I'm TaylorJones, your host, and excuse me, let's get into this Trump fella and see what he's up to now. Well, you know about the big trap that bitchery Clinton set for him with these two Muslims and their deceased son, and he fell for hook, line, and sinker. Well, he seems to be most like a shark. He won't let go, even though his top advisors and his own family members are telling him to let these people be. You know, it's costing you. It's costing you in the polls. It's costing you with voters. It's costing you, period. Let it go. Your main focus is supposed to be the bitchery Clinton. Don't lose sight of that. I mean, he acts like a kid with ADD. The least little thing comes by, his attention goes over there and stays. You know, I have never seen a person so self-destructive in my life that is aspiring to be a president. Leads me to something that I heard, I guess a couple of months back, that he was put in as a Democratic plant in the Republican camp to basically diffuse all of the people that would possibly be detrimental to bitchery Clinton's campaign. That would be Jeb Bush, Rubio, Cruz, Kasich. Put Trump in there, let him diffuse them, and then she'll take care of Bernie Sanders, and then she slides right on into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue unscathed. Well, it would seem like maybe that's true, because he just constantly gets himself into the most idiotic situations that I've ever seen. Last evening he was in the southern part of the country, and there was a baby crying, and he made a big joke about the baby. Then he kicks the baby out. Well, I mean, the woman that had the baby should have walked on out of the arena, you know, because nobody wants to really hear a crying baby. So when he started joking with her, or if he was really joking, that would have been my cue to leave, and I would have taken the baby out. But no, he actually has to get himself into it. What a nut. Then there's this thing with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, you know, sort of challenged him, bring to light those tax records. Now, wasn't it just a few short years ago that Mr. Donald Trump was telling somebody else to bring something to light? Oh, bastard, in his birth certificate? Even put money on the table, saying that if you show your birth certificate in this allotted amount of time, I'll give $10,000 to your favorite charity. I think it was $10,000. $10,000 or $100,000. I know it wasn't a million. But anyway, oh, bastard didn't come through. Okay, I wonder if this Donald character is going to come through with Warren Buffett's proposal. And why shouldn't he? What is he trying to hide? You know, listening to this character, the way he prattles on about his poll numbers and what he's done in his business world and how many businesses he has and how many buildings he's put up with his name on them, you would think he'd be more than happy to show his tax returns, because that would prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's as wealthy as he says he is, since he likes to crunch numbers. The fact that he's reneging and hemming and hawing and lying leads me to believe there's something very smelly going on. Something's awful fishy around here. Because I know this guy and how he likes to brag. All right. He claims he's so smart, he's got brains. Well, if you got that many brains, how in the hell did you let bitchery Clinton put you in such a trick bag? She set it up royally, and he fell through it. There's talk now of him possibly leaving the Republican Party and going out on his own, if he just flat out doesn't quit. Because it's looking kind of bad. He's turned the veterans against him. He's turned military personnel against him by ridiculing this dead soldier. and all that sort of thing. And he just, like I said, nothing will ruin him but his big mouth. He had the presidency. It was his to lose, and looks like pretty much he's doing it. He just all but giving it to the bitchery Clinton. So I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on it, but from what I've been hearing from somewhat reputable sources, because you know these news whores, they're just as bad, if not, well, no, nobody can be worse than bitchery Clinton. But anyway, the news media is running a close second, so you can't really believe anything they say. But I have a couple of very pretty trustworthy news sources that I look upon for some information. Not that I trust them all that much, but you know, they're a little better than the others. I'm on the watch for whether or not this guy is just going to throw in the towel and say forget it, because seemingly it has to be his way or the highway. And I mean, he's not even listening to this new guy that he's got in to be his chief campaign manager. He's not listening to his family. It's just, he's like a pit bull with these muzzies, these cons. You know, they conned him into sinking the teeth in, and they're pulling him on away from everything else, like a little pit bull, you know, with the being bitten to the fellas behind, and the guy is walking with the dog, you know, latched onto his butt. That's the way this Trump fella is. You know, he's what they're calling a man-child, and he exhibits that every day by being so childlike in his demeanor. You know, the focus is supposed to be tearing bitchery Clinton apart, even with the debates. Now they're saying he's shying away from the debates and what have you, and that she is scheduling them behind football events or sporting events. And I know that could be true because she did the same thing to Bernie Sanders. But see, the thing with him is this woman, like I said, like her or not, she's a world-class debater. She's good at what she does. She's a sleazeball. She's a dirtbag. As he says, she's a devil. And I have no reason to, you know, argue with him on that score. He, not so much. If you remember him in the primaries, when he was up there on the debates, there were moments when he would go up to 25, 30 minutes, silent, not saying anything, not jumping into the fray. And that was when he had at least 10 at his side that he could hide behind. This time he can't hide. It's she and he. And if she starts battering him with poignant questions about certain things like foreign policy and things of that sort of thing, or things of that nature, that she is, I won't say well equipped to answer or handle, because we know how horribly she did in Benghazi and other places, but I'll say things that she's familiar with more so than he. So it's going to be a different ball of wax at these debates rather than the earlier ones in the primary. So I don't know. I'm very happy that Jill Stein is still very much in this race, and that I can look to her hopefully for some kind of breakthrough so that she can get to be the president, because neither one of these two deadheads have anywhere being near the White House. They're ridiculous. You know, one is a goofball and the other one seems to be a nutball. So I don't want to be bothered with either one of them. Getting either one in there, we lose. You know, because if this guy is going to act this way if he should become president, I shudder to think of what this nation would look like. And if the bitchery Clinton gets in there, wrap it up. Exec, what do you got?
Well, a lot of craziness in the Trump campaign. You know, this has been a major shot to his career as a politician, like you've alluded to throughout the show. You know, and he proceeds to be like a horse in a race with blinders on the sides of his eyes, only seeing what's in front of him and not seeing the real truth. He claims that his campaign is doing well. And this is, I have about 3 articles to read that are relevant to this show. This one's from CNN.com, CNN Politics. Republicans are freaking out about Donald Trump, but the candidate himself is insisting his campaign has never been in better shape. Trump took the stage in Daytona Beach, Florida on Wednesday, with his presidential bid apparently floundering. Republican leaders and even senior members of his own team expressed frustration with his political meltdown on Tuesday. The GOP nominee tried to stem the growing panic, addressing the state of his campaign right at the top of his speech. The campaign is doing really well. It's never been so well united. It's the best in terms of being united since we began. We are doing incredibly well, Trump said. I think we have never been this united, said Trump, who went on to attack the Obama administration over the nuclear deal with Iran and the state of the economy. That article, dovetailing with this article here, shows that he's exactly incorrect about his campaign. And that's according to NBCnews.com politics section. Trump allies plot candidate intervention after disastrous 48 hours. Key Republicans close to Donald Trump's orbit are plotting an intervention with the candidate after a disastrous 48 hours led some influential voices in the party to question whether Trump can stay at the top of the Republican ticket without catastrophic consequences for his campaign and the GOP at large. Republican National Committee head Reince Priebus, former Republican New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich are among the Trump endorsers, hoping to talk the real estate mogul into a dramatic reset of his campaign in the coming days, sources tell NBC News. The group of GOP heavyweights hopes to enlist the help of Trump's children, who comprise much of his innermost circle of influential advisors, to aid in the attempt to rescue his candidacy. Trump's family is considered to have by far the most influence over the candidates, thinking at what could be a make-or-break moment for his campaign. If he's supposed to be so well united, and if they're doing so much more united than they ever have been before, why is there a group of GOP heavyweights trying to rescue his candidacy? You know, he doesn't know what he's doing, and the people he's chosen to support him don't even support him. This Mike Pence, an example, didn't like what he did with this con thing, and he didn't. He was vocal about it, very vocal, and even furthermore, he went against him another time. This just in, when after Donald Trump refused to endorse Paul Ryan and John McCain for at least Paul Ryan for upcoming primary election. I'm not sure what McCain's running for. Mike Pence broke with the Republican presidential nominee by offering his own endorsement. So even Mike Pence is going against what Trump, who Trump doesn't support, and supporting them himself. I strongly support Paul Ryan. I strongly endorse his re-election, Pence said in a phone interview on Fox News today. This is from ABC News website. He's a longtime friend. He's a strong conservative leader. I believe we need Paul Ryan in leadership. So the people he chooses to back him don't even do that. So his campaign is falling apart, and he's trying to paint lollipops and candy canes for everybody when it's not. It's more like, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the person stuck in the chocolate getting sucked up by the machine in dire straits. That's how his campaign is. This guy is a tool. He doesn't know what he's doing, and I happen to agree with Hillary Clinton that he's not fit to become president. I hate to say this, and there's a lump in my throat when I say this, but I agree with the stupid bastard president that he's unfit to become president. He's not. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I think you've said before, he's a minnow or some kind of smaller, lesser fish in a sea of...
He's a sardine in a sea of sharks.
A sea of Hillary Clinton.
He's way out of his element.
The great white shark, Hillary Clinton. He's got too much competition, and you told me that possibly he might be dropping out, or that might be just a rumor.
They're fearing that, and not only are they fearing it, but they're trying to do a lot of damage control if he does. See, they can't push him out, but if he volunteers to go, then, so be it. And this has to happen before the 1st of September so that they can crunch their numbers and try to put somebody else in there to for their ticket. Otherwise, you're just giving her the reins and saying, have fun.
That's why they have this committee to try to save him from his own destruction. He needs help because he's been doing business all his life. He's a businessman. That's what he knows.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder now how good he was at that. Or was it somebody that he was partnered with who did all of the heavy work and he just did the bankrolling? Because you look at the way this guy speaks, He speaks like a third grade kid, and he acts like a second grade kid.
He's a bully like one too.
He likes to bully. He likes to go around calling people names, lying this and crooked that. Well, you can mold a pretty good lie yourself there, Donald. You know, so I'd be very careful about throwing names out. Stephen Hawking even got into it. They asked him, you know, what makes this guy so popular? And he said he really didn't know. It's just demagoguery and those who like to follow, the mindless people that like to follow. So I would imagine he's going to start making fun of Stephen Hawking, you know, mocking the way he sits and looks in the wheelchair and what have you. This guy proves it time and time again, with the help of Bitchery Clinton, that he's nowhere near ready to go into a White House. Not that she can talk, because she, you know, talking about how unfit he is. Look at her, an old bastard. He should be the last one to talk about somebody who's unfit.
And talk about the pot calling the kettle black.
Oh, God, this guy is disgusting. All of them, they're disgusting. And, you know, how nice it is to have Jill Stein, who seems to be problem-free. She just talks about her plan, and, you know, when they do say something about her, I would imagine there's somebody out there that doesn't like her and has something they want to throw. But at least it's not with the news media, it's not with people in their own party. And, you know, how nice it is to have a candidate that, you know, you can actually listen at their side of the story and determine whether or not you want them to be in the White House, as opposed to having somebody that's always bombarded with turd bombs. I mean, come on. This is ludicrous. But anyway, we will keep an eye on this situation. I've been watching my sources all day to see whether or not this guy is just going to give up the ghost and say, well, I screwed up, so I'm gone. And we will bring that to you if and when it happens. And whatever he does, whether it's throwing out babies or throwing puppies off a bridge or whatever this nut decides to do, and that stupid bitch, Bitchery Clinton, we will be here to bring it to you on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We thank you very much for being with us. And in this air of nuttiness, this political, it's got me going crazy. Craziness. Try to maintain some sanity, keep a smile on your face. Let's dump the hate, increase the peace, and we'll see you right here again on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Bye-bye now.